Matthews with a WFMY News 2 weather update. Want to get you updated on our weather situation, let you know how things are going here in the Piedmont, and more critically along the Virginia border and on up into Virginia, where we have seen some snow, sleet, and rain this morning. We continue with our weather impact alert for today and for tomorrow as well. Even on Wednesday morning, there's a slight risk of maybe a little bit of freezing rain, even here in the Triad, but it favors areas along the Virginia-North Carolina border. Caswell, Rockingham, Stokes, Surry County, and out over our foothills have a better chance of giving that light wintry mix. But again, for the rest of the area, it's going to be a mainly cold rain, and it looks as though it's going to be a soaking rain. We have a good chance of rain right on through midday on Thursday. We get a break on Valentine's Day, and then we bring more rain in for the upcoming weekend. Can't rule out some slick spots. Bridges and overpasses are colder surfaces, so those areas that I just mentioned near the Virginia border, maybe some slick spots on bridges and overpasses especially. But even with just plain old rain, you need to take it easy as you head out and drive this morning and again tomorrow morning. Been keeping a close eye on temperatures. These are the current temperatures this morning around the area. With the mixed precipitation that has moved in earlier, confined mainly along the Virginia border, that precipitation has allowed the atmosphere to cool somewhat in a process we call evaporative cooling. And now we're seeing these communities right around that critical freezing mark, around 32 degrees. That extends all the way out to Wilkesboro, and also 32 at Mount Airy, 32 at Walnut Cove, but Yanceyville and Danville at the freezing mark. So right along this area where we've gotten the evaporative cooling this morning, temperatures near freezing. Now in the Metro Triad and points on to the south where we have seen little in the way of any type precipitation, temperatures are several degrees above freezing. As a matter of fact, look at this, Winston-Salem and Greensboro and Burlington in the upper 30s this morning. Earlier, we had a batch of mixed precipitation in our border counties with Virginia. That has been lifting to the north, and that batch, for the most part, is moving on up through Virginia. Now, if you have travel plans up into Virginia today, and I'm talking about Roanoke and Lynchburg, you may want to call ahead. Our Virginia counties are under a winter storm warning for accumulating snow and ice in those areas where the atmosphere is a little bit colder. But on live radar, there's really nothing much going on across the area this morning. We're seeing a few patches of light rain around Troy and Biscoe, but the rain is just kicking in, and it'll really ramp up later on today and into the overnight period. We're tracking this batch of rain, and this is a steady rain and some pockets of heavier rain tracking east through the Tennessee Valley. That will continue to move to the east, and some of that will start to move into the Piedmont through the afternoon and overnight period. And that's when we're going to see just plain old cold rain for the Piedmont. Now, temperatures overnight will drop back to near freezing, so there is a minor concern for maybe a little freezing rain early on Wednesday morning. I don't think it's critical for the Triad, but again, we're going to be watching these areas right near the Virginia border. And you can see things a little bit more critical up over Virginia, where a winter storm warning is in effect until Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Here in the Triad and up to the Virginia border, we're under a winter weather advisory, and that is until noon coming up on Wednesday. Here's what we can expect in terms of the various types of precipitation. From the Triad and south, it's just going to be plain old cold rain for those areas. And we're talking about Asheboro and Troy and Sanford and Siler City. The dividing line appears to be right near I-40, I-85. Maybe a little icing here. We'd be hard-pressed to get a glaze of ice here in the Metro Triad, but again, a little bit more critical. You move up to around Reedsville and over to Stoneville and Yanceyville as well. So, and then of course, more deteriorating weather as we get up into Virginia. In terms of icing, again, the greatest threat of ice will be to our north, maybe a quarter to, in some spots on up into Virginia, a half of an inch of ice, pretty significant. Again, potentially a glaze this morning and again tomorrow morning here in the Triad, but I think we're going to be hard pressed to even get that. And of course, as you head to the south, again, it's just going to be plain old rain. The setup on the surface weather map is cold high pressure to our north, but moisture is streaming in from the south. And again, this is going to be a pretty big rain event that will keep us wet right on through mid-Thursday, but that's okay because we're in a moderate drought. We normally don't think about drought conditions in the middle of winter because it's not the growing season. So a good soaking rain would be okay for our part of the Piedmont, where we could rack up a couple of inches of rain. Thankfully, that wouldn't be snow, or we would be buried in snow. So the moisture continues to stream in, and again, overall, for the most part, with the exception of a little icing near the Virginia border, this is going to be a cold rain event. We'll keep rain in the forecast right on through Wednesday and Wednesday night. As a matter of fact, another big batch moves through Wednesday night and early on Thursday. That's kind of the final hurrah from this system, as low pressure and a cold front will move through the area and dry us out. Right now, Friday is looking like a nice day, mid-40s under a partly sunny sky, but another system is destined to head our way as we go into the upcoming weekend, as we continue in a very soggy and very wet weather pattern. So Friday is going to be one of those days that we want to savor and really enjoy. We look down the road with our GFS model, and of course Wednesday seeing rain again, maybe a little wintry mix on up into southern Virginia, but for us mainly that soaking rain for Wednesday night, and for the first half of Thursday. And then it looks as though with that cold front moving offshore, we're going to have an opportunity to dry out. No precipitation of any type is expected as we head into the day on Friday. But I go forward and look what happens on Saturday. Our next system promises to be a wet one, and although we may start out dry on Saturday morning, we run the risk of widespread rain for later Saturday afternoon and on into Saturday night, and for the better part of Sunday as well. This go round, it looks as though the mountain locations are the favored area for any snow with this system. Hopefully this next system for the weekend will move out and we'll be able to dry things out as we go into Monday. Now this rainfall total graphic is through Thursday, not the weekend. That's a separate event. But again, our GFS model suggesting maybe 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches of rain in some spots. Now that's kind of spread out over a couple of days, so we don't see any flash flood issues given the fact that we've been so dry. If we look down the road out to about 14 days, in terms of temperatures, we are forecast to be averaging a bit below normal, and you thought winter was over with after January. That's not the case. We think that we'll see temperatures below normal, and precipitation in the 8 to 14 day time frame looks to be above normal. Below normal temperatures, above normal precip, anything goes during the rest of the month of February, and of course into the first part of March as well. Stay with us over the next several days. We'll keep you updated. A little wintry mix favoring the Virginia border this morning. Otherwise, rain ramps up this afternoon. Temperatures will be several degrees above freezing. We'll hover into the mid-30s. Rain tonight, and freezing rain is just a possibility, certainly not a guarantee, but we think overnight temperatures will dip back to right near freezing. Another weather impact alert day for the possibility of a minor amount of icing on Wednesday morning at high 36. Rain for Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. The first half of Thursday looks very wet, but look how we warm up. Warm front moves through first, and then the cold front moves through later Thursday. We'll get up pretty close to the 60-degree mark. A sweet forecast coming up on Friday because it's going to be Valentine's Day and it's going to be dry. And then we'll bring that big batch of rain in for the upcoming weekend. Have a great Tuesday. We'll continue to keep you updated with more cut-ins and let you know what's going on in Piedmont weather. You have a great day and stay safe.
Good morning, I'm Megan Malaris. Because of the wintry mix falling in parts of the Triad this morning, our weather team has issued a WFMY News 2 weather impact alert. Several school districts in our area are making adjustments because of buses and hazards on the road. Some of the changes include Guilford, Caswell, and Yadkin County schools going remote today. School districts that are closed are Elkin City, Mount Airy City, Allegheny County, and Rockingham County schools. Right now, Yadkin County seems to be the only one in our area dealing with power outages. Just more than 200 customers with Duke Energy are in the dark. Duke Energy reports an estimated restoration time of about noon today. Let's look at our forecast. Ed, I know we're still hovering slightly above freezing, which might be helping things.
Oh yeah, definitely so. It's a completely different world in the Metro Triad as compared to along the Virginia border, where we've already seen a mix of rain, sleet, and snow. Temperatures hovering right around freezing, and that is the case out over the northern foothills. But look in the immediate Triad and points onto the south. Temperatures mid and even upper 30s, and the mixed precip we had along the border earlier this morning has lifted into Virginia. It is snowing over the state of Virginia. Now we'll be pretty quiet in terms of precip through the morning, but this batch of rain to our west is tracking our way. That'll bring us soaking rain later this afternoon and tonight. We continue with our weather impact alerts. This is going to be mainly a rain event through Thursday. Dry on Friday, more rain for the weekend.
It is 7:30. Thanks so much for joining us on WFMY Plus. Our weather team has issued a WFMY weather impact alert for today, meaning there are some dangerous weather conditions that could affect your commute. Good morning, I'm Megan Malaris. Our team is on top of all angles of this wintry mix coming down in parts of the Triad. Right now, our Giselle Thomas is live in Reedsville with current conditions. Giselle, it's been pretty off and on there this morning.
Yes, now throughout the morning we've seen some freezing rain come down. About over an hour ago we were able to see some of the rain come down, and it was kind of like a slush. The best way to explain it, you could feel and also see the rain a little bit thicker since it was slowly getting to frozen, and then now it's been about an hour or so that we've seen things kind of taper off. It's really been on and off, but now we haven't seen any steady rainfall for about an hour or so, but those roads are still slick. Now, you can probably hear some of the cars traveling behind me. We're near Reedsville High School off of South Park Road. We're able to see that there are some wet roads, and also making sure that if you are traveling this morning, please make sure that you're driving slow. Now, I was able to speak to Sheriff Sam Page, who is the Rockingham County Sheriff here, who tells me that throughout the different places throughout Rockingham County, not only are they just increasing some personnel just to make sure everyone is safe, but also in the past month, they've had 40 service calls in regards to weather-related situations. Now, these slick conditions also are what has impacted school districts, including Rockingham County here, which is closed, Mount Airy, and Allegheny. Take a listen to what Sheriff Page says when it comes to being safe and particularly on which roads to be safe on.
And also with the temperatures, you got to watch the temperatures, because if you have wet highways or appear to be wet, especially elevated bridges and stuff like that, with the temperature below freezing, you could get icing and freezing on those upper surface, or the surfaces are elevated, and that could be hazardous for your travel.
Now again, there are school districts that are still planning on having school today. Instead, they're actually moving to remote. Now, that includes Guilford County schools. Now, Guilford County and several other districts are taking that route, and we actually were able to speak to the superintendent a little bit about how that decision is made and when it's made.
We always try to do. Then we have people on the roads at 3 a.m. We have a call at 4 a.m. and then we put the news out there. So we'll continue to do that plan, keeping safety at the forefront of all those decisions. We have to remember this county is 650 square miles. So what might happen in High Point and the eastern part of the county are two totally different things. It just depends on the system.
Now, it's important to pay attention to, just because the weather might have stopped where you are doesn't mean that it's not impacting in other places. Again, here in Rockingham County, for about the past hour and a half now, we have seen the rain light up, but that doesn't mean that the roads are still not wet. You can see that there's some people who are now waking up as they are heading into their morning commute. They are driving slow. Make sure if you are heading outside that you are driving slow as well. Also, another tip that we got from Sheriff Page, if you are closely behind another car, make sure that you're giving ample space in between. That way, if you do have to slow down, you're not running into them due to the slickness of these roads. Live in Rockingham County, Giselle Thomas, WFMY News 2.
All right, some helpful information there. Now let's take a look at what's happening as the morning continues. Ed, is this mixture going to transition over to snow or freezing rain at some point, or does it depend on the temperature?
It's going to actually change over to just plain old rain, and there's really not much going on the radar at the moment. We had that mixed bag of precipitation along the Virginia border earlier, but as we'll see on radar, that has moved on up into Virginia. It won't be until the afternoon and overnight that rain, and we mean a cold rain, will be with us here in the Piedmont. Just to review our weather impact alerts for today through tomorrow, because tomorrow morning we have another risk of maybe a little icing from the Triad and especially points north. So those areas along the Virginia border are the areas that we're watching very, very closely for some slick spots and those colder surfaces like bridges and overpasses. Even with just plain old rain in your area, be careful, because that rain rate is going to increase later on today. Temperature is very interesting. Along the Virginia border, temperatures have dipped to right around freezing. We've had some of that mixed snow and rain and sleet, and that has really cooled the atmosphere here. So many of our communities extending out into the northern foothills right around the freezing mark. But look at the Metro Triad along Interstate 4085. We're in the upper 30s, and that's the case for our friends down to our south as well. Now, radar not showing much at all, really. We had that little batch batch to move along the Virginia border this morning. It is snowing to beat the band up over the state of Virginia, where that batch that we had earlier has lifted into Virginia. But what we're watching for later this afternoon and overnight is this big batch of rain out over the Tennessee Valley that is tracking east, and that'll start to move into our area later today. That is going to be a cold rain, and it's going to be a cold rain for the most part overnight tonight. But tomorrow morning, once again, we'll be watching our border counties as temperatures dip to right near freezing, maybe a little minor icing in those northern areas. But again, mainly for most of us, this is going to be a big rain event through Thursday. Here are the alerts. Winter storm warning for our friends in Virginia. Accumulating ice and snow in this area. A winter weather advisory in effect from the Triad up to the Virginia border. Again, the critical area right along the Virginia border, where in terms of icing, we could see a little more of an accumulation, and that's the case out over the northern foothills. These areas, just climatologically speaking, are generally colder in these types of situations. South of the Triad, really from the Triad and points to the south, this is going to be just mainly a rain event for those areas. We've been talking about the dividing line really being pretty near Interstate 8540, and that looks as though the way things are going to play out. We are in the Glaze area, and I think we're going to be hard pressed here in Guilford County and Forsyth and Alamance to even get a glaze, but still that is a possibility. We got to watch what happens for the rest of this morning, and then we're going to be looking at Wednesday morning as well. But again, the favored area for an accumulation of ice again near the Virginia border and out over the northwestern foothills. Cold high pressure to our north, moisture streaming in from the south and southwest is going to give us a real rain event. And why not? We're in a moderate drought. We normally don't think about drought conditions because we're not in the growing season. We're in the middle of winter. But, you know, a couple of inches of rain would be okay for us, and that'll be spread out over about a 3-day period. We'll continue to see rain for Wednesday and Wednesday night and even into the first half of Thursday. This cold front will move through the area on Thursday and kind of sweep the moisture offshore. And so we're going to see a dry Friday for Valentine's Day, but another system heads our way for the upcoming weekend. We see the rain Wednesday and Wednesday night for the first half of Thursday, and then the cold front moves through, and look at Friday. It looks as like it's going to be a dry day, mixed sun and clouds and temperatures into the mid-40s, but we move forward in time. Yeah, our next rather wet system heads our way. Although we start Saturday maybe dry as we go into Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, a good chance of what appears to be now just plain old rain, and that'll be the case on Sunday as well, favoring our mountain locations for that weekend situation of having some snow there. But just another soaking rain for us here in the Piedmont. Rainfall totals forecast up through late Thursday. A couple of inches of rain. A few areas may get a little more than that. So a little mix this morning, but most of that is moved out, and then rain redevelops this afternoon and continues overnight. Temperatures just above freezing, around 35 today, but we'll watch later tonight and early tomorrow morning for the morning commute on Wednesday. Couldn't rule out a little batch of freezing rain. Again, it favors near the Virginia border. And then Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, first half of Thursday, just plain old rain. We'll dry it out for Valentine's Day and then bring a wet weekend to you. Saturday and Sunday, 60% chance of rain.
And just a pocket of about 200 power outages we are monitoring in Yadkin County. Nothing widespread as of now. We'll keep you updated if that changes. And we'll have another update for you here on WFMY Plus in about half an hour from now. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us.
Good Tuesday, I'm Ed Matthews. Want to get you updated on Piedmont weather. We'll start out with temperatures that haven't gone up, they haven't gone down. We have cooled to right around freezing near the Virginia border, where earlier we had a mix of rain and snow and sleet. But look south through the metro Triad and on down into the southern Piedmont and Sandhills, where temperatures are well above freezing. We're looking at mid and upper 30s this morning. That batch of mixed precip has moved up into Virginia. Not much going on in terms of any precipitation in our backyard at the moment, and I think we'll stay relatively quiet through the day. But this batch of rain out to our west will move our way and bring us soaking rain later today and overnight tonight as temperatures hover just a few degrees above freezing. Christian, how are the highways looking this morning?
Well, I'll tell you at the moment, everything honestly looks pretty good across the Piedmont, and there's really no active rain or precipitation falling like you just showed. This is a live look right now in Winston-Salem. This is US 52 right near Rams Drive, right outside of downtown Winston-Salem, north and southbound lanes. Of course, absolutely fine. No slowdowns, no traffic problems there. Greensboro looks good on all the major roadways. Down to Asheboro 73, the new 220 looking good, and around Winston-Salem we're pretty much in good shape this morning as well. So at the moment, drive times are largely unaffected. Greensboro to Winston-Salem, 26 minutes now on 421, about 22 minutes right now on 40. From High Point to Greensboro, 11 minutes on Business 85, and less than 15 minutes from High Point to Winston-Salem. A Tuesday morning to you. Thanks for checking in with us on WFMI Plus. Meteorologist Christian Morgan alongside with you to give you an update on what we're expecting. We got a lot of cold rain on the way, but there may be some wintry mischief sort of in the mix here over the next couple of days. First things first, we do have our News 2 weather impact alerts. Those are in effect right now and will remain in effect through our Wednesday evening. So for today and for tomorrow, what that really means is we just want you paying a little extra attention to the weather and to the forecast. So staying up to date, checking in with these updates like we have, and of course checking our website from time to time to make sure that you're in the know on the latest forecast. And really, it's all in an effort to keep you safe. And I'll be honest, I don't think this is going to be a big or a major event for us, but I always like to err on the side of caution if we're talking about some chance of iciness over the next couple of days. So that's what we're looking at right now. News 2 weather impact alerts in effect, mostly for this morning, tonight, and tomorrow morning for the potential for some wintry mix and maybe some iciness, especially along the Virginia border and our northern counties north of the Triad. So what does that mean? Well, it means there could be some slick bridges or a few slick spots, maybe some ice accumulating on some trees and power lines, that sort of thing. So we want you just to be a little extra cautious, give yourself some extra travel time over the next couple of days to account for that. All right, taking a live look over downtown High Point right now at 8 o'clock this morning. Really, it's largely dry, just cloudy. And at the moment, there's not even that much falling across our area. Now, take a look at temperatures and sort of soak this in, because this means a lot in terms of what we get and in terms of whether or not we see freezing precipitation falling from the sky. Right now in the Triad and areas to the south, our temperatures are sitting in the mid-30s, well above freezing, not really moving any at all really from where we were early this morning. So this is anything that falls is going to be regular old rain for the Triad and areas to the south. Now you look up to the north, our northern counties along the Virginia border. Take a notice here, the temperatures a little bit different. 32 in Mount Airy, 32 Danville, 33 in Reedsville. So if you're not freezing, you're just above the freezing marker, hovering right around it, right along the Virginia border. Earlier this morning, those folks actually had a little bit of that wintry mix and even some snow falling in a few spots. You can see that on our radar loop from just a few hours ago, but now most of that is gone. And that actually kind of helped to cool the atmosphere, dropping those temperatures a little bit. Now you look on radar and there's not really anything happening other than a few showers, maybe a little wintry mix over toward the Triangle and the Raleigh-Durham area. But don't be caught off guard. We do have a lot more rain on the way. And I do think it's mostly going to be rain for us, especially middle of the day today into this evening. Watch, you look out back over the Tennessee Valley, all of this rain now moving through Tennessee, getting closer to us. And this is what's going to arrive in the Piedmont and that we're going to be dealing with. It really is the first big round of rain that'll start the trend of several of those rounds of rain for this evening, for your Wednesday, and for your Thursday morning as well. So we do have a lot of cold rain on the way. Here's what happens. Cold front moving across the area and sort of stalling out down to our south. Waves of low pressure develop along that front and ride north and west, bringing us that moisture and that precipitation. Again, a chance for just mostly cold rain for all of us. There could be another opportunity for some mixing or freezing rain late tonight through early tomorrow morning. And then watch, here comes another big batch of cold rain on the way for tomorrow evening and one more again for Thursday morning. After that, I think we're going to be done for a while. Take a look at our futurecast and you'll notice the coloration here on the radar. Don't be caught off guard by that or be fooled by that. A lot of times the radar or the models don't really do a good job of color coding these things properly. Pay more attention to the temperatures that you're seeing here. And you'll notice that as we move into this afternoon, everybody is above the freezing mark. So all of this is going to be regular old rain, even though you're seeing some of those pink shadings showing up on our futurecast. We have a lot of rain on the way, and this could total up to a few inches by the time we're all said and done. That rain continues, some of it steady or even heavy at times as we move into this evening. We start to go past sunset, and you'll notice temperatures right along the Virginia border are going to go back close to that freezing mark. So then again, we watch those areas for some slick spots overnight tonight and very early tomorrow morning. We move into midday tomorrow and our temperatures come up above freezing. I think we get a little bit of a break through the morning commute tomorrow, and then we have another round of rain on the way as we move into tomorrow evening. There will be another round of rain late Wednesday night, overnight, and into Thursday morning. That will finally, I think, be the last one that we have to deal with. And again, all the while, temperatures are staying cold, mid and upper 30s at the most for our Wednesday afternoon. Thursday morning, take a look at this. Rain moves out. We're sitting in the upper 30s. I do think there's a good opportunity that we have some sunshine coming back by Thursday afternoon. And we should be actually pretty comfortable as far as temperatures go. I think we get up close to the 60-degree mark for Thursday afternoon. Boy, finally seeing the sun after several days of clouds and rain, that'll be a sight for sore eyes. I can assure you of that. So who's going to get what? And when you really break it down, once again, the I-40 corridor is sort of a really good dividing line in terms of understanding who's going to get what. South of I-40, it's mostly going to be a cold rain. Okay, the Triad areas to the south, mainly looking at a cold rain event for us. And as you go up to the north and west, those folks are looking at a lot of cold rain as well. But you go north of I-40 and you start to pay a little closer attention to some icing and the potential for some freezing rain. Maybe a little bit of wintry mix here across the Triad, more of a chance of icy mix and freezing rain up along the Virginia border and our northwestern foothill counties as well. Now, as far as that icing risk goes, maybe up to a glaze of ice in the immediate Triad. That would be about it. And I really think that's on the higher end if it does happen. South of I-40, south of Greensboro, Winston-Salem, it's mainly just going to be cold rain. Wouldn't be concerned about an icing concern there. Now, again, same scenario here. You go further to the north and west, northern part of Stokes County, Surrey County, Allegheny County, northern part of Wilkes County up into the mountains. Those folks are going to have a better opportunity, or at least the chance of some higher and heavier icing up that way. Maybe somewhere of 1/10 of an inch, maybe up to 1/4 of an inch on the higher end of things. And of course, that 1/4 of an inch is sort of the threshold where we start to think about problems as far as breaking off a few tree limbs, maybe causing a few power outages as well. So that's something that we'll watch up that way. I don't foresee this being a widespread problem or widespread power outages, but a few scattered power outages will be possible as the system rolls through again tonight and again tomorrow morning, again when our temperatures are a little closer to the freezing mark. As far as rainfall goes, I will tell you this is beneficial rain that we do need here in our area. Funny to think about, but we actually are in a drought right now. January overall, with the exception of the few snow days we had, was actually a very dry month. So we're in need of some rain, 2 to 3 inches possible across our area over the next few days. And that, of course, will alleviate the drought. It's a lot of rain, though, in a short amount of time. Especially concerned about our friends up in the mountains. While they'll have the chance for some freezing and icing concern as well, I think the heavy rain is more of a concern in the mountains and may cause some flooding issues up that way as well. So that's something we're going to have to be watching and paying attention to over the next couple of days. All right, so bottom line, a lot of cold rain on the way for today and for tomorrow. It continues into early Thursday morning before it tapers off. And again, not guarantees here, but like to err on the side of caution when we talk about the potential for ice. Slick bridges and overpasses will be possible. Take it a little slower, be a little extra careful for your travel this evening and again tomorrow morning as well. Cold rain is pretty much a given for all of us in the afternoons today, tomorrow, and again Thursday morning. After that, I think Thursday afternoon, we start to bring some sunshine back, okay? Take a look at Friday, Valentine's Day, a lovely forecast after not so much a lovely forecast earlier in the week. Our sunshine comes back and temperatures should climb right back up into the mid-40s for your Valentine's Day. Now that is chilly, yes, but it is dry. Right, so you give a little bit to get a little bit here. That's just really a one-day break. Thursday afternoon, Friday, really the dry time in between two wet weather systems. We move into the weekend and we'll start to bring another chance for rain back into the forecast. Another cold front gets close to the Piedmont. It'll stall out across the area and it does bring us some rain. Scattered rain likely for our Saturday. That scattered rain will continue into Saturday night and into Sunday morning, but I do expect Sunday afternoon, once again, the second half of the day likely is going to be a lot better than the first. So if you're looking to make weekend plans, Saturday probably going to be a tough day to do that. Sunday would be the better opportunity for you in the afternoon. If you have plans to go out of town or maybe do something outside for Valentine's Day, you might want to do it right on Valentine's Day for Friday. After that, we go into next week. Dry weather will kick things off for us on Monday. Will be chilly as we would expect it to be in February. High temperatures in the mid-40s. And if you're keeping track this time of the year, average high right now is 52. Average low is 32. We'll be below that for most of the next 7 days. That's a quick update on your forecast. Stick with us on WFMI Plus. We'll have another update headed your way over the next hour.
Good morning, I'm Megan Malaris. Let's take a look at some stories making headlines this morning. Republican candidate Jefferson Griffin for the Supreme Court is now appealing a decision regarding 60,000 ballots and whether they should be counted. Griffin lost in a tight race to Democrat incumbent Justice Allison Riggs. He challenged the election results, alleging roughly 60,000 ballots were cast by people who did not provide ID on their ballot and in turn led to a mismanagement of results. His appeal could likely reach the state Supreme Court, where he is seeking a seat. Governor Josh Stein is suing state leaders, including Senate Leader Phil Berger, over recent laws enacted that limit his power as governor. The most recent lawsuit states Republicans pushed through limits on the governor's power to fill court seats. Former Governor Roy Cooper filed a similar lawsuit against the limitation of powers on his way out of office. Let's look at a forecast. A wintry mix is in the works for the Triad right now, Ed.
Yeah, especially our areas along the Virginia border. These are the areas that we thought might have some icing, and we've already seen a little snow, sleet, and some rain this morning. That has cooled the atmosphere to right around freezing near the border and out over the northern foothills. From the Metro Triad I-40 85 south, temperatures are in the mid and upper 30s, but that little bit of mixed precip that we had along the border this morning has moved up into Virginia, where the snow is coming down. Not much going on now, but this rain out to our west is tracking our way. That rain moves into the Piedmont this afternoon and tonight. Will be with us through tomorrow. Will dry out by Friday.
Good morning, I'm Megan Maleras. You are watching a WFMY Plus special weather impact alert update on this weather impact day with some dangerous conditions possibly affecting your morning commute. We have team coverage on this winter mix affecting the Triad right now. Giselle Thomas is live in Rockingham County where we've seen some bouts of rain this morning. But first, Christian, what's it looking like from the timing standpoint of all this?
Well, right now we're sort of in a little bit of a lull period, but we do have a lot of cold rain on the way as we go into this afternoon. So let's get you an update. Those News 2 weather impact alerts in effect right now. They go into effect or are in effect and stay in effect through our Wednesday. Now we'll keep an eye out for a couple of slick spots, especially north of the Triad along the Virginia border with some wintry mix, maybe even some freezing rain at times up that way. So be mindful that there could be some slick spots on bridges, overpasses, that sort of thing, especially north of the Triad. So be a little extra cautious. Give yourself some extra travel time to account for that. Here's what it looks like on radar this morning after a little bit of that wintry mix and some snow along the Virginia border this morning. Now, like I said, we're sort of in a little bit of a lull period right now. We zoom out on a wider view, though, we have a lot of rain to go. Notice all of this rain back out over the Tennessee Valley and pushing through Tennessee. That's what's moving to us as we go into the afternoon. So watch, we have rounds of cold rain on the way as we go into the afternoon, midday, afternoon, into this evening. I don't think we have much of a concern for the freezing stuff, but as we move into tonight, temperatures go back close to freezing, especially along that Virginia border. So we'll have to watch that opportunity once again through the early morning commute tomorrow. After that, it's cold rain for everybody through our Wednesday, and that'll continue on into our first part of Thursday as well. After that, I'm pretty hopeful we'll try it out. Look at temperatures right now, sitting in the mid-30s. Haven't moved across the Triad and areas to the south this morning. Now just to the north along the Virginia border, look how close to freezing a lot of these areas are. 33 Mount Airy, 34 Reidsville, 32 at the freezing mark in Danville. That's why we have that concern for some slick spots up that way. Coming up though, we'll take another look at your forecast, look at the next 7 days and what you can expect over the next few.
All right, Giselle Thomas live in northern Rockingham County now. In the Eden area, Giselle, it looks like it has finally stopped raining, but I'm sure it's cold up there.
Yes, both of those things. And as we've been out here, we're actually here off East Stadium Drive. We were actually able to see some of the ice and a little bit of frost that has gathered in certain areas. As we look around this street and roadway, you can see around the base of these trees. When I took a closer look, the best way for me to describe it is it's as if the raindrops, you can see the actual drops frozen, like little circles of ice that are there. At this time, the rain has stopped, so it's right now it's just staying firm and solid as the weather is continuing. You can see there's some cars that are going by. The roads are still slick as that rain continued to fall. Now, I was actually able to speak to Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page, who tells me that last month his team responded to 40 vehicle wrecks that were involved with this kind of wintry weather. And a spokesperson for Rockingham County tells me that isolated travel issues and power outages can occur when there's a potential for freezing rain and weather conditions. But right now, they still are warranting precaution. And if you have to drive this morning, safety experts do make sure that they're recommending that you drive slow, take your time, make sure that there is some space in between your vehicle and others. Now, something else that Sheriff Sam Page said, that if you get yourself in a situation where there is ice on top of your car or just where you can't get out, he shares some tips on what can help keep you safe in a situation like that.
Brings maybe a few blankets and some protective gear, just in case if something happened to your car where it broke down, that you can still keep yourself warm. And also make sure you have that cell phone charged up too. Make sure you should always make sure you have enough food stuff for 2 or 3 days, just in case you have a weather event.
Now, out of precaution, Rockingham County Schools actually did decide to close for the day, and them also in regards to 2 other nearby counties. Now, Guilford County is actually going remote today. Now, one thing I do want to point out, as we are seeing cars going by, we also saw that there was some ice that was on the top of roofs. There was also some ice on cars. Make sure that you give your vehicle ample amount of time to warm up if you are heading out this morning. And most importantly, make sure that you're staying safe. Live in Eden, Giselle Thomas, WFMY News 2.
All right, let's talk more in depth about this forecast. Christian, This type of weather is not unusual for February, but to go from 60s to this in the span of a week is kind of wild.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Somebody was asking me this morning if we expect anything that falls, if it's going to linger. And, that's not the case this time around. You go back a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about how cold we were and how cold we had been for quite some time. Now we're talking about how warm that we've been for a while, right? 60s and 70s last week and a little bit before that. So if there's any winter precipitation that falls, it is not going to be hanging around, okay? I can assure you of that. Right now, let's show you what we've got going on. Really not much across the immediate Triad. Maybe a few sprinkles here and there. That's about it. Not really anything even happening up over the Virginia border. Now you go back out to the west. Here's that big shield, precipitation shield we call it, or big chunk of rain that I'm going to call it for you. It's moving across Tennessee, and that's what's going to reach us as we go into the afternoon and on into tonight. And it comes in rounds. There's a stalled out front to our south. Waves of low pressure develop and track along that front, and that continually brings us those rounds of moisture and waves of rain. So that's what we're going to be expecting. The first big one moves in tonight and will linger into tomorrow morning. There's a little bit of a break midday tomorrow, and then another one on the way tomorrow night and into Thursday morning. So a couple different rounds of rain here, really going to drop a healthy soaking for our area. This is what it looks like on Futurecast. Now, don't be fooled by the coloration here. I want you to notice the temperatures, 33, 34. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth, marginally cold, just above the freezing mark. If it's above 32, it's going to be completely cold rain for everybody. We go into tonight and we have to watch these areas, especially north of I-40 and along the Virginia border. If they get down to around the freezing mark, that's where we could have, again, a concern for some slick spots or a little bit of freezing rain, especially up in our northwestern counties and up into the foothills, up into Virginia as well. Again, moving into tomorrow morning, we get a little bit of a break, then another round of cold rain pushes through tomorrow night, and one more into our Thursday morning. After that, I think Thursday afternoon we'll dry it out, have a little sunshine back, and be able to get pretty warm, actually comfortable, into the upper 50s to near 60. So south of I-40, I know we kind of joke about I-40 being the dividing line. It really is the case once again. South of I-40, it's cold rain for everybody. Around the Triad, I think there's at least the possibility, but I don't think it's a high likelihood that we get a glaze of ice. Just something possible that we'll watch out for. Again, I like to err on the side of caution when we talk about ice, just in a sense to keep people safe. You go north and west, right along the Virginia border, northern part of Stokes County, Surrey County, Allegheny County, up into our northwest foothills. Those folks are going to have a better opportunity for some icing. And up that way, it could potentially be some significant icing, somewhere between 1/10 of an inch, maybe to 1/4 of an inch, or maybe more than that when we talk about terms of ice. And usually that 1/4 of an inch is the threshold where we start to see some issues as far as broken limbs, maybe some power issues as well. So in the far northwest foothills up along the Virginia border, I can foresee an instance where we have a couple of scattered power outages. I don't expect that to be a widespread thing. And again, not a guarantee. It's just something that we'll watch for. Back here in the Triad to the south, it's going to be a cold rain, soggy mess for everybody. Now, as far as rain totals go, we need rain. We're actually in a drought. We're going to get a good healthy soaking of it, 2 to 3 inches possible for our area over the next couple of days. And that's also going to be coming to our North Carolina mountains. Honestly concerned about some flooding up in the mountains and foothills for today and for tomorrow. So that's something to watch up that way as well as the freezing rain concern up in the mountains and foothills. All right, so bottom line, cold rain is the big story. Possibility for some wintry mix this morning, again tonight and tomorrow morning. Slick bridges and overpasses, especially where there's some icing. Think about north of the Triad, north of I-40, right along the Virginia border. We'll watch for that. Again, not a guarantee. Just give yourself a little extra travel time to account for that. Play it safe. Take it slow the next couple of mornings, okay? Cold rain likely is well, almost a guarantee for everybody for our afternoon. So we'll be watching it for you. There's your 7-day forecast. After, well, really Thursday morning, things do start to improve as we go into Thursday afternoon. I think we have some sunshine back and temperatures should be able to warm up close to 60. Valentine's Day really looks pretty good. We'll be dry and chilly. Sun is back though, mid-40s for Valentine's Day before we welcome another chance for rain back here in the Piedmont again. Saturday looks like it'll be a wet day. Probably wouldn't make plans to be outside on Saturday, but Sunday, after a little rain in the morning, I think we'll clear it back out Sunday afternoon. We'll be dry to kick off early next week.
Right, I want to mention I am looking at the Duke Energy power outage map, and still the only pocket of outages we see are located just north of Yadkinville. Not widespread, and Duke Energy expects the power will be back on there by about noon today. So we'll keep an eye on these situations, especially as that chance for some more winter weather comes back heading into the afternoon. We will see you again for the Good Morning Show at 9 on your TV and on WFMY Plus. For now, that's a wrap.
They're the most expensive items you own or pay for each and every month at your house and your car. And this winter, 2 Wants to Know has learned all kinds of things about taking care of your home and your car during the cold and often wet months. And what we've learned can save you money, can save you frustration down the road. Brr, the cold temperatures outside absolutely means that your furnace is working, right? The outside air, it's warmed up, and at the same time, it takes the moisture out of the air. So while it's maybe, let's say, 28 degrees and 41% humidity outside, inside your house, you could be looking at 68 degrees and 10% humidity. That's a big difference than the outside numbers. So here's why the humidity is worth watching. The ideal home humidity is considered by many to be between 40 and 60%. When the air is too humid, mold, bacteria, dust mites grow, and allergies are a problem. When the air is too dry, viruses, bacteria, respiratory infections spread, and allergies are a problem.
2 Wants to Know shows you how to solve the problem. Humidifiers cannot prevent colds and flu, but they do go a long way in helping your body fight off those nasty infections by keeping the air moist. In this climate-controlled chamber, Consumer Reports runs humidifiers overnight and tracks how many gallons of water each emits. After many hours of testing, CR is recommending this Vicks humidifier for smaller rooms. It's just $36.
It's really important to keep your humidifier clean because you don't want a buildup of gunk inside that could spread microbes through the air and possibly get you sick.
To keep your humidifier fresh, always follow the manufacturer's instructions, which typically include daily and even weekly maintenance. You also want to position your humidifier on a flat surface, raised at least 2 feet above the floor. This allows for more moisture to dissipate into the air.
With all of these cold temperatures, it won't surprise you to hear that the bulk of your home energy costs are heating and cooling. How much? 30 to 40% of your bill. And with the temps that we've had, the heat is for sure on. The other energy costs are much smaller in comparison, which is why, yeah, you need to see if your windows are letting in cold air and making your HVAC system work harder.
2 Wants to Know has a simple test to see if your windows are drafty. To check for air leaks, light a stick of incense and hold it right in front of the window and door. If the smoke blows up and down, you have a tight closure. But if the smoke blows horizontally, there's less than an airtight closure. Fast and inexpensive fixes, including adding door snakes, weather stripping, and caulking. But sometimes that's just not enough.
If you've tried all these little fixes and it's still not cutting it, it might be time to replace your windows. Not only will you save on your energy bill, but a lot of modern windows are easier to clean and they'll help cut down on drafts and noise inside the house.
Consumer Reports tests windows in the lab with wind and other weather tests. The Preservation Window Series earned top scores, but it's pricey, $550. A more economical but also high-tested choice, the Pella 150 vinyl window at $239. Here's another efficient way to add a buffer between the cold air and your home. That's with a storm door. This door from Anderson with a retractable screen for ventilation earned a Consumer Reports recommendation.
Home improvement projects are expensive, but there's some really generous state and federal tax credits that you can take advantage of right now.
Yeah, tax credits are a big thing. If you're going to get a storm door or replace your windows or really any appliance in your house, it's worth looking at the government's Energy Star website to make sure that you're picking an item that will help you at tax time. Whatever is happening outside, inside, you want you and your family to be safe and to know that your home is protected. Well, there's a price for that protection. In North Carolina, homeowners insurance rates are going up. In fact, in June of 2025, they go up, and then again in June of 2026. How much? Well, the percentage increases each year can be almost nothing to, well, 16%, depending on where you live.
Across the whole state, the insurance industry has at least 132 different rating areas from the mountains to the coast. Sometimes it's broken down to even zip code areas. So where you live and the amount of risk is a factor there.
North Carolina Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey released a homeowners insurance settlement sheet. Now it shows what the insurance companies requested and then what was approved for 2025 and 2026. I want you to see what was asked and what was settled on and how it varies depending on location. So we're going to look at here. This is the coast. So we're looking at Brunswick, Carteret, New Hanover counties. 99.4% was the ask in 2025. It will be a 16% increase instead in 2026, about the same. Okay, now we're looking at the Triad cities, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Alamance, Forsyth, Guilford counties. Well, the ask was either 36% or 25%. For most of our viewing area, it now comes down to an 8.2% increase every single year, 25 and 26.
We sat down at the negotiating table and we worked out this settlement that I believe is very favorable to consumers, while at the same time, it makes sure that these insurance companies are going to be able to pay their claims and stay in business. And it won't do anybody any good if you take the stance of no increase. California did that in 2017.
The homeowners insurance rate increase is set to take effect June 1st, 2025. You can see the full list of increases for your area and the rest of the state in this online story. Look in the 2 Wants to Know section. 2 Wants to Know, what do you do if you have damage from a storm or a burst pipe? Maybe you found a spot on your ceiling. Now what? Anytime there's some sort of damage in or to your home, there are 3 things to remember. First and foremost, keep yourself safe from whatever the damage is. And then you want to do what comes naturally. You want to grab your phone. You're going to want to take video of the damage and record your voice explaining what you're seeing. Pictures and video are great tools to document the damage. And then
you have an obligation as an insured to try to stop further damage. Nothing you can do about raging floodwaters, but if it's been a wind event that's blown a bunch of stuff off your roof, you need to secure that, prevent further damage. You have an obligation there.
Then you want to report your claim. Most companies have online forms to submit the pictures and the video. Also, you'll want to talk to your local insurance agent. That can help speed up the process. Now, this is the perfect opportunity when you don't have an emergency to do what's called a home inventory. It's an old school kind of catalog of all the things that you have in the house, what you would want replaced in case of fire, tornado, whatever. Again, you don't have to put it on a piece of paper. All you need is your phone.
The folks that have been devastated, they don't have any clue how many dress shirts they had in their closet or how many plates they had in their cabinet. They just don't. And video would be really helpful.
Video, as in a video house inventory. The idea is you take video of everything in your house. You open up the drawers, the closets, the cabinets to show the insurance company all the things that you had so you can be compensated correctly.
Everything, just video it and upload it to the cloud or wherever you want to upload it to. I don't care. But you'll have record and you'll never have to worry about it again. You can do it one time. You can do it once a year. You can do it once, you can do it every quarter, whatever you want to do, but video and the technology we have today makes that so simple to remember.
You never know what the next round of winter weather will bring, but 2 Wants to Know is always on the lookout to find the information that will protect you, your family, your wallet, and the most expensive things you own. Again, your home and your car. Your car, that's where the focus is next. The cold weather, it is a drain on your car battery and it can leave you stranded. In fact, it happened to our expert from Carfax.
I have a 2020 Kia. Our battery is almost 4.5 years old. And we discovered yesterday morning in below 10-degree weather that the battery had died and had to be replaced. Car batteries can last typically around 2.5 to 4 years, depending. But if you get a very cold snap, you can discover just how much you need a new one. So I got it jump started and it ran for a while, but it couldn't retain that charge. It was just too far gone to be saved. And because of that, I had to get a new battery installed in my car.
Patrick says he used a mobile service to replace his battery right on site. He said it cost him about $300, but he didn't have the hassle of getting his car towed or putting in the new battery himself.
2 Wants to Know asked our expert from Carfax How long should you let your car warm up before you drive it?
You are absolutely fine letting it go 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes tops. Anything longer than that, though, you run the risk of damaging your engine. So what happens is that oil loses some of its viscosity, its ooziness, if you will, when it gets super, super cold. What happens when you drive the car right after you start is the oil gets all through the engine and lubricates the parts that it needs to. When it sits there and it just idles, it's not getting that flow of oil through all of the engine that you need.
One last recommendation, don't rev the engine when you get in, thinking maybe that you're helping your car warm up. Patrick says you're asking too much of the engine before the oil is everywhere that it needs to be. Winter is making itself known, and if you don't have to go anywhere, great. But if you do, I gotta tell you, this right here, this is really just the minimum of the scraping that should happen if you're going to get on the road. And I'm not just talking about the windows.
All the salt, spray, snow, and road grime that gets onto a vehicle in the wintertime could obscure the radar and the cameras and the different sensors that you use for your safety systems. And while it doesn't mean that they won't work all the time, they may not be there when you most need them.
There are three main areas you want to make sure that you clean off well. First and foremost, your backup camera, right above your license plate. The more eyes you have, the better. Now, if your car has forward collision or lane departure warnings, those sensors, they're on the windshield. And if your car has parking assist, you want to wipe away any debris from the bumper sensors. Rear body panels, they house the blind spot monitoring radars. The hardest part, though, about driving in the snow, maybe just getting out. There is a trick to digging out without making yourself frustrated and exhausted.
2 Wants to Know. Talk to the experts to help get you on the road. Remember the word CATS. C. Clear out the snow from around the tires and the direction that you're going. A. Add traction underneath the front and back of all tires. T. Tire deflation. Not a whole lot, just a little to give you better traction. And S. Straighten your wheels. It's easier for the car to get a good grip that way.